Hello, good morning. Hello, Year 10 Spanish. Right, what we have here is a sheet that will take you through step by step and support you to do some revision of all the work that you've done for the last couple of months. Okay, I couldn't just say go away and revise, that wouldn't be fair, because when I was your age, or when many of us were your age, we didn't have a really clear idea about how to go about that and what to do. However, we will say go away and revise, but what we will say is follow these steps to make it as easy and simple as possible. Just go through these steps and then don't worry about anything else. Now, everybody's been learning differently under lockdown. Everybody's lives have been very different under lockdown, and we don't expect you all to be working under the same circumstances. I will mention the word assessment, and I don't want to make any of you panic at all. Don't worry, and please do not get anxious. That's not what we want for you at all. We could never expect you to do as well on these assessments as perhaps you would do if you were in school and you've been learning your lessons in school. That wouldn't be fair if we expected you to do as well. Equally, and it's very important that we say this loud and clear, it would be unfair to you if we were to tell you that the learning didn't matter and there's no assessments in the future, because that certainly isn't true. We want you to progress as well as possible, and part of that is helping you get ready for tests, helping you get ready for assessments, and helping you go back and revisit your learning so that you can embed your learning. And that is what today's lesson is about. It is, how do I revise what I've been working on so far, and how do I prepare myself for a small mini assessment which will be coming next week. Okay, so we're going to go through this step by step. First of all, you will be logging into ePraise and you will be checking that you've completed the work set. So go back onto your ePraise account. Mine looks a bit different to yours, but you can see if I click here, this will give me my planner view, and I can go back and then see what work I've been set, and perhaps go back over those lessons, that was half term, and do a little bit of revision on those lessons. Don't forget, it's the planner view I will be looking for to help me with that. Once I've done that, then I am ready to move forward. So I would suggest that even if you spend a few, maybe 10 minutes looking back over those lessons to remind yourself, it's not a bad idea before you move on. Okay, so next step, step 2. This is to remind yourself of the bigger picture. Okay, so what does that mean? What that means is, not just, a lot of the time you learn, we teach you things step by step and you just trust what your teacher tells you. So you might be talking about what your home looks like, and then you're talking about environment and so on. But that doesn't help you fit it all together in your mind. And what I suggest you would do, let me show you here, is you have a look at the bigger picture and think, well, what have we been going through the last few weeks and why? This is my new toy, got my visualizer here at home. This is the textbook, and I've got a hard copy of it here. You can access it online. And what you have been doing is Module 8. Module 8 we've been working on local, national, international and global areas of interest, and we've been talking about houses, healthy eating, global issues, local actions, healthy lifestyles and international sporting events. And that is pages 152 to 171. So at this point, if I were you, so step 2, you go back, log into Active Learn, which I'll show you again how to do in a minute, and go back through these pages and have a look at what it is you have been doing to remind yourself of what that bigger picture looks like. What do we mean when we're talking about global issues? What were the grammar points? What are the key vocab points? Remember, we were talking about things like alcohol and drugs and sporting events there. Okay, then there's a few little assessments, and it's always worth reading, and there are the vocab pages which should be familiar to you now. Let me go back to the beginning and I'll show you how you would access that online. So you go into Google Chrome, you type in Active Learn, and don't go for the one that says primary, go for the one this one here, pearsonactivelearn.com. It takes you to the login page. I'm already logged in, but if I can just remind you that should be your username is your name. So imagine if you were called John Smith, that would be capital J-O-H-N and Smith S-M-I-T-H, and your password is ActiveLearn1, capital A, capital L1, ActiveLearn1. So you're in. Yours looks different to mine. You're going for the oranges, Spanish textbook, student book, and as I've said many times before, you are looking at the foundation textbook. It's very similar to the higher textbook, so don't worry about that. Now this unit begins on page 152. Okay, so just a reminder, step 1, have a look back over your previous learning. Step 2, flick through theme 8, module 8, on the textbook. And then, as you're going through it, you're going to be assessing. You don't need to fill this table in, but this is an example. You'll be thinking to yourself, right, where are my strengths and my weaknesses? You are evaluating your learning so far. So, describing types of houses. Have a look at page 152. How good would you be on the listening? Let's say amber. Reading, right, I'm quite good at that, so I'm going to go green. Speaking, we haven't done much, let's say red. Writing is quite an easy topic, green, and translation, green. Just evaluate. You could colour it in if you want, but for me, that's you just playing a little while instead of doing your work. That's not what we want. What we want is the thinking. Think carefully about where your priorities lie for learning, okay? So if it's green, you don't need to revise it. If it's red, then you might want to put a little bit more focus into that when you come to revise. So this is just the evaluation stage. It may take you 5 minutes to just go through those, flick through those pages and think in your head, how would I rate myself on that, and where are my priorities? And that then gives you an area of priority where you think, well, actually, I need to focus on my listening and reading, or my listening and translation and so on. You can work out which topics, which areas you need to put most effort into. Okay, I've tried to divide those up for you into sections. Right, so it's just a bit of evaluation. You've not really started the work yet. You've just been thinking about the work, and then you come to the vocabulary. Right, this is going to be key, and this is on pages 171, 172. For those of you 170, 171, you can actually zoom in on this if you'd rather and look at it like that, or you go back to the textbook and work through the vocab pages there, because you can hear them when you click on this bit here. And how would I revise the vocabulary if I were you? I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so here I am on these pages. Am I going to expect myself to learn every single word on every single page? No. I'm going to look at each section bit by bit and make sure. And then I'm going to have a look. So this is a bit blurred for you, sorry. Right, vivo en bloque de pisos. Casa, right, casa, I know that word, I'm not going to write it down. Right, semi-detached. Most people, that's going to be really useful. That's going to look good. I'm going to write that word down. Una casa adosada. Okay, so I'm going to choose that one. I'm going to put the Spanish on one side and the English on another. Semi-detached. Okay, and then I'm going to go, right, another word, apartamento. It's practically the same as English. Do I remember the word piso? Yeah, we did that in year 8. Skip it. Granja, that's a bit difficult. Farm. Una granja, a farm. Okay, then I'm going to go through. I'm going to basically think, do I know it, so I don't need to learn it? If I don't know it, is it going to be useful? Then I'll write it down. If I think, no, it's a bit much for me to learn today, I'll skip it. So, afueras, that's a useful one. las afueras, the outskirts, las afueras. I live on the outskirts of Bolton, vivo en las afueras de Bolton. So basically I'm just showing you here, when you come to revise your vocabulary, pick out maybe 10 words from each section, put them on a two-sided piece of paper so that you can test yourself from Spanish to English and then from English to Spanish, and you've got a nice little bit of vocabulary that you can be revising there. Don't overwhelm yourself with too much at once. Okay, if you end up with more than 10 per section, you've got too much. You could just do 10 per section and then maybe go back once you've learnt it and learn again, but that's all I'd do for now. So that's the work on the vocabulary, right? That's step 4. Okay, at this stage, I'm probably really tempted to have a little rest. Okay, go make yourself a cup of tea and have a break, come back to this later. Okay, right, and now I'm going to carry on. So, you've had your little break and you're going to go back to vocab section number 2 this time. And we have highlighted here some vocabulary that is going to be really helpful in lots of different contexts. So this vocabulary here, I would suggest that instead of putting in single words, this is what I suggest you do with this vocabulary. So you would take a piece of paper and you'd get the key phrases. These are sentence starters. So look again. So for example, in my opinion, the biggest global problem is, right? En mi opinión, el mayor problema global es. That's going to really help you when it comes to speaking and writing. You have got a sentence starter there that's going to help you build up your paragraphs. I'll put the English on the other side, in my opinion, etc. And then you can do the same thing, but you cut it out so you end up with little strips of paper where you can test yourself on the English to Spanish, Spanish to English. But they're sentence starters rather than individual words that you were working on before. Okay? And that's the vocabulary section done. Step 4 done. Phew. Okay? Then you're going to get on to the final bit, and this is where the real revision starts. Okay, step 5 is to go back to the textbook, make sure you've got a login. Feel free to email me, no matter whether you're in Mr. Smith, Mrs. Yates or mine, and let me know if you need your username and password for ActiveLearn, but make sure you are on it and you're using it. Okay, so let's imagine you want to revise the listenings. You're going to click on one of these. If I were you at this stage, I'd probably have the transcript, that's the words that you're hearing, open at the same time, and then listen through. Módulo 8. Hacia un mundo mejor. And read at the same time. Página 152. You should see the vocabulary opening there. The transcript. Escucha y escribe las dos letras correctas. Okay, and one little tip there is, see, talking for a long time there, that's 20 seconds worth of, oh, this is page 152, module 8, right? Don't worry about all of that bit at the beginning. Wait until you hear the lady say number 1, uno, and then you start listening. That listening out for is when she starts saying uno. Listen, read the transcript, look maybe at the activity, and just keep practicing that vocabulary. So that's the listening. Now you could pick maybe a couple of listenings per page as you flick through the unit. It takes a minute to load for me here. There they are. Listenings on each. Read the transcript, and it's a good way to revise the vocab. Equally, you could be, so they're the listenings, those ones with the speakers that you got. Readings, they are coloured red. Let's have a look. I think there's been one on those pages. Yep. Readings are coloured red. Speakings are green. And the writings What's green? The orange ones, they're examples for writing. But at the moment, while you're revising, the best thing to do is probably to focus on the reading activities and the listening. They're sort of the passive learning activities that you can be doing as you're going through. Reading and listening, helping to build your vocabulary and your confidence with each of those, especially after you've revised the vocab. And finally, and this is the challenge, it is to answer these 4 paragraphs. It's only 50 words each, so don't worry too much, but use the textbook. Do not use Google. That's just a waste of time and effort for everybody. Use the textbook to imagine that this was an exam question. What is important in your life? Let me show you how I would do that if I were you. I think, alright, yeah, that was on page 152. Okay.
That was at the beginning. What's important? That wasn't.
Oh, I made a mistake there. Let me just change that question. What's the biggest environmental problem in your opinion? Sorry. Okay, so what I would do is go back to considering global issues, have a look at the examples. Para mí el mayor problema global es la desigualdad social. Don't know what that means, but I'm going to take the beginning of the sentence. There we go. I'll have the destruction of the environment. I live near Manchester and there's too much traffic, a lot of unemployment. I might flick back to this page. The air is contaminated and there's too much rubbish. We should not throw rubbish on the ground and we should save energy. So look what I'm doing there. I'm going back to the textbook. I'm using phrases from the textbook and I am simply joining them all together like a jigsaw. En mi opinión, el problema global más grave, use the question to help me write the answer, es la contaminación. Vivo cerca de Manchester y hay muchos problemas. Por ejemplo, el desempleo y el tráfico, etc. I'm going to start talking about problems, then I'm talking about the environment, and I'll talk about what we should do. Se debería reciclar más. All the time using vocabulary from the textbook to put those together. If I want to know how many words I've done, I only need to do 50. I can check out with the word count. I've highlighted there, I've got 30, I'm over halfway there. Okay? Right, that's an example of what you might do for those 4 questions. And the extra challenge at the end is to see if you can learn those paragraphs. Can you imagine, can you speak those out loud? Can you say them out loud? Could you actually say them out loud without reading them off the sheet? That's the extra challenge. That is full revision of everything you've been doing over the last, couple of months. Okay, so break it down, do it in small chunks. I know many of you are back in school this week. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Just take it step by step. Maybe do 20 minutes, 25 minutes a day. And we shall look forward to seeing you next week. Again, don't panic about the assessment. Just do your best. It's just all about getting you back into that routine where you know that your learning is very important and each step is valuable, and so are you. So have a good lesson and we shall see you soon. Looking forward to it. Bye.